to call this meeting to order at 6:02. Roll call.
Oscar Salinas here.
Nereida Cantu present.
Mary Hernandez present.
Amin Garza present.
Alex Cantu present.
Claudia Ochoa present.
SB Ochoa present. Dr. Science, I do declare a quorum.
Thank you, Ms. Ochoa. Can we please stand to the pledge of allegiance? I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and
Justice for all.
Thank you.
We do have one public comment. Mr. Garcia for public comments. Mr.
Garcia.
Bless you.
Bless you.
Bless you.
Good afternoon, distinguished members of the board.
Mr. Garcia, can you
Yes,
hear
ma'am.
me? At this time, we would like to remind you that your comments will be limited to 3 minutes. Our
Yes, ma'am.
board attorney will keep time. You're to deliver comments in a professional, courteous manner and not attack anyone or be expected to comport according to board policy BED local. Any questions?
Respectfully, I had requested 3 to 5 minutes. Was that taken into consideration?
Okay, it's granted.
I'm sorry?
Okay, it's granted. It's
Thank you.
granted. 5 minutes.
Thank you, ma'am. At what point would I begin?
Whenever you may.
I come before you all individually and all of you collectively to speak to you about a matter before you today, Miss Sylvia Garces. Sylvia Garces graduated from La Jolla in 1999. She, upon graduation, she purchased a home at 20 years old here in La Jolla, lived in that home for 18 years with her husband, and her children, 5 children. She has 5 boys. In 2001, she graduated with an associate's degree in biology, became a pharmacy tech. She then proceeded to attend and finish her bachelor's degree from UTPA at the time, and then immediately started working for La Jolla. She is from La Jolla. She's worked with La Jolla. I don't think the non-renewal is an issue before you that deals with Ms. Garces not doing her job, but rather the accusation that the government brought with an indictment. I would like to share with you, this is off the Fifth Circuit pattern jury instructions. When we try cases in federal court, we begin, I don't know if any of you have had the privilege of being a juror in federal court, but federal judges instruct the 12 members of a jury with some instructions. And I think they're important for you to consider before you make a final decision today on her non-renewal. There are 3 rules in federal cases. And this is directly taken from the Fifth Circuit pattern jury instructions that every federal judge in McAllen will eventually instruct the jury with. First, the very first one, the defendant is presumed innocent until proven guilty. Okay? The indictment brought by the government against the defendant is only an accusation and nothing more. It is not proof of guilt or anything else. The defendant, therefore, starts out with a clean slate. That is the law as jurors are instructed. Surely, if it's good enough for a federal jury, it's good enough for you to consider Ms. Garces. I believe she was a Teacher of the Year 2015 and 2016. There's a list as long as my arm on the volunteer work this woman has done. She's a member of my church at Our Lady Queen of Angels. Her sister works for the diocese in Brownsville. She has family members who are with the school district in McAllen. Her father was a World War II veteran. Her mom retired from La Jolla. She's part of our community. And so before you make a decision to non-renew, again, I don't believe that this is a case, and I don't have access to the personnel records, but I don't believe this is a case for her not doing her job. And given the circumstances that our community finds itself in, surely there's a place for her within our district. And I ask you to consider that, and I appreciate your time. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. We'll go on to approval of minutes. Can I entertain a motion for special call meeting on April 24th, 2020?
Second.
I have a motion, I have a second. Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Those opposed, motion passes. Superintendent report, enrollment report, May 5th, 2020.
Thank you, Ms. Ochoa. For the enrollment report as of May 5th, 2020, we have 13,187 elementary students, 14,236 secondary students, for a total of 27,423 students. And this enrollment is 189 students less than at this date last year. That concludes the enrollment report and the superintendent's report.
Thank you. We'll move on to discussion items, discussion and update on services provided to students during school closure related to COVID-19 pandemic.
La Jolla ISD continues to implement an instructional continuity plan. This plan is an at-home school that maximizes the amount of instructional time for students and supports student mastery of grade level standards for the 2019-20 school year. Our district is providing a home curriculum that consists of online instruction and homework packets. Our curriculum and instruction department continues to oversee the implementation of the continuity plan. Principals monitor instruction provided by teachers on a weekly basis. Our teachers are following the district's curriculum, checking student progress, and assigning grades. I would like to thank all our principals and teachers for the amazing work they are doing to ensure our students continue to receive instruction. Our child nutrition department is providing curbside meals to go. Children 0 to 18 years qualify to receive a breakfast and lunch each day. Meals are distributed every Friday and Tuesday from 9 to 11:30. A breakfast and lunch are distributed each Friday for 4 days and every Tuesday for 3 days. Last week, May 4th to May 8th, our district served 151,996 meals to the children of our community. The dollar value of these meals was $455,988. We are honored to serve our families during this crisis. La Jolla ISD cares about our families, and we are happy that we can provide this service. I would like to thank the Child Nutrition Department for their work, as well as the Custodial Department and the Police Department for their assistance with meal distribution. Our counselors, social workers, and life skill coaches are also supporting students at home through telephone calls and online platforms. High school counselors are working diligently to make sure our senior students complete all requirements to be ready for graduation. I would like to congratulate our senior students for continuing to complete their work assignments at home during school closure. I also want to thank their parents for the help and support they are giving their senior students. I want to congratulate our 2020 senior graduating class for all their amazing accomplishments. And I I'm happy to announce that we have scheduled graduation ceremonies for our high schools. We have received approval from the Texas Education Agency Commissioner of Education to conduct outdoor in-person ceremonies beginning May 29, 2020. The district has developed a graduation plan that meets all requirements under Governor Abbott's current COVID-19 disaster orders. The graduation ceremony dates are as follows. On Friday, May 29, at 7:30 p.m., La Jolla High School. Saturday, May 30th, at 8:30 a.m., Jimmy Carter Early College High School. At 7:30 p.m. on May 30th, Palmview High School. Sunday, May 31st at 8:30 a.m., Thelma R. Salinas STEM Early College High School. And at 7:30 p.m., Juarez Lincoln High School. We look forward to celebrating the achievements of our 2020 graduates. And now our Chief of Police, Mr. Raul Gonzalez, is going to provide some details on our graduation plan.
Good afternoon, Madam President, members of the board, superintendent. As our superintendent mentioned, our governor in executive order on May 5th allowed school districts to go ahead and conduct in-person graduation as long as there's some requirements that are met that were guided by TEA. We provided you with a package of our graduation plan. Our graduation plan also required that we submit the plan for legal counsel for review. We submitted our plan to our legal counsel. It was reviewed and it was approved with very, very minor changes in a couple of words. The plan is also required to be submitted to Hidalgo County Emergency Management Coordinator in the City of La Jolla. The Emergency Management Coordinator for the City of La Jolla sent us an email stating this: Chief Gonzalez, the City of La Jolla has reviewed the in-person graduation ceremony plan that the La Jolla ISD has in place and has approved the plan for graduation. Good luck and congratulations to all 2020 graduates. The County of Hidalgo Emergency Management Coordinator, Mr. Ricardo Saldaña, sent us this email. It says, good morning, Chief Gonzalez. I have reviewed your school district plan for graduation. Very well thought out and designed. The teams did an excellent job. I'm good with it. Ricardo, Chief Saldaña, Hidalgo County Emergency Management Coordinator. So not only have we complied with the requirements with our legal counsel, but also with the local entities. So going into the plan, it was developed to comply with the CDC guidelines to make sure that we have 6 feet minimum separation between family members at the graduation. So there are a lot of requirements that we're going to be abiding by. For example, we're going to cap the number of participants at the ceremony. We are only going to allow 4 guests per graduate. Okay. School employees and school facilities will comply with the guidance for school employees. They have to use face covering at all times, stay social distant from each other. Students and parents will comply with the guidance on student instruction visits. Right now, schools are closed, and the only time they're allowed into our buildings is when we have to provide essential services. A graduation is an essential service. Prior to attending the ceremony, participating students and attending family members will be screened via a questionnaire, okay? And basically, they need to identify whether or not they have any of the symptoms of possible COVID-19. That questionnaire is attached in your packet. That is made available online. And students, along with their guests, have to fill out the questionnaire and they have to submit it to the district. La Jolla ISD will not conduct a rehearsal, but we are going to provide virtual guidance for processional, ceremony, recessional procedures and protocols to our students so that they can prepare for the event. The La Jolla ISD guest seating arrangements will comply with a minimum of 6 feet spacing between all participants, except that the members of the same household, 4, will be allowed to sit together, and that is the plan that we've developed. Hand sanitizers and hand washing stations will be available at all La Jolla ISD entrances. We are going to have 5 entrances into the building, into the facility, so that we can comply with a minimum of 6 feet spacing. La Jolla ISD will identify and limit the number of school employees needed for the ceremony. number will vary depending on graduates. So not all teachers are going to be allowed to come to the ceremony. We're going to identify the person that's going to work along with district staff. If you do not have an active role or helping out with the ceremony, you will not be allowed to come to the ceremony. La Jolla ISD will require all participants to wear cloth face covering over nose and mouth. Coverings may only be removed when photos are taken on stage by the students, and we're working on that process. La Jolla ISD is going to station personnel appropriately to ensure compliance with all requirements and to limit congregation. La Jolla ISD Public Relations Department will implement a communication plan to address steps to be taken before, during, and after the ceremony to ensure that participants are aware of safety protocols at the ceremony and explicit instructions to graduates or promoting students to not to congregate outside the school-sponsored ceremony. This is a concern that the mayor in La Jolla had, and he wanted us to remind, and we're going to do it through our social media and through our communication, that social gatherings of 10 or more people is still not allowed, okay, in any of the cities or the county. So we're going to make sure that we promote that, and they're going to promote that as well. We will communicate with students' family prior to the ceremony to inform them of how many family members will be attending so that they can plan appropriately and be informed they implementing social distancing measures. We have already announced that. We've already announced the dates, and we've already informed them that they can invite 4 guests per graduate. We will assign seating for members of the audience, okay, to be more efficient, ensuring social distancing between household groups. La Jolla ISD will implement specific protocols for arrivals and departures to ensure appropriate social distancing. Students will walk to the designated spot for processional activity. After the ceremony, students will participate in a recessional and walk out of the facilities to their designated parking lots. Guests will then exit the stadium and walk to the designated parking lots where they can meet their students. Part of the plan included our schedule of events. We want to remind the community that this plan is made, and that we will continue to monitor the severity of the pandemic, and acknowledges that this plan may be modified as public health changes. So at any point, if the county, if the city, or the state says that we cannot proceed with this, then we will not proceed with it, okay? We are going to follow the recommendations and the guidance. We have a timeline prepared. So on May 5th, when the governor announced that we're going to have that we can have ceremonies, the crisis team met, and right away we convened a graduation committee. The graduation committee, which is composed of the district crisis team and all the high school principals, we decided on an outdoor in-person graduation ceremony. During that time, we also announced 4 subcommittees so that we can plan for the graduation. We prepared the plan, got it approved by council and by the county and the city. We announced the graduation plan, and right now we continue to prepare for that. So I do want to let you know that the seating arrangements, we were able to identify 816 areas on both sides of the stadium for the parents. So what we're going to do, I'll give you an example. La Jolla High School has 640 graduates. We're going to divide those 640, and we're going to put 320 families on one side, and we're going to put 320 families on the other side of the stadium, okay? So the seating, we are going to, when the students come and pick up their tickets on the 21st and 22nd, they're randomly going to select an envelope, and whatever seats are in that envelope is what they're going to get, okay? The reserve section is going to be reserved for the top 10% of each high school, okay? So, and those will also be randomly selected by the top 10% kids in the reserve section. We also had to come up with a parking lots. We're going to be using 6 parking lots. So when the students get their tickets, for the parents, they're also going to get a parking permit. So people cannot just drive to the stadium and park wherever they want to. They're going to have to go and park at the designated areas. And the reason we need to do that is because at every parking lot, we're going to park a car, leave a space, park a car, leave a space, park a car. And Our stadium has a seating capacity of 12,500 members or people on the stadium, and we're not going to use more than 2,500 seats for the whole stadium. Okay. Continuing with the graduation plan for the graduating seniors, we are going to use the entire football field. Okay. For example, at La Jolla High School, we're going to have 46 rows of 14 kids, starting at the goal line all the way to the goal line. That way, all kids are socially distant on the football field as well. When they're standing waiting to come in, they're also going to be standing a minimum of 6 feet from each other. And when they exit after the ceremonies, they're also going to be 6 feet from each other. Once they exit the ceremony, they finish the recessional, they'll walk straight to the parking lots. So we're not going to allow any parents on the field. Everybody's going to have to walk to their parking lots, to their cars, and go on their merry way. So this is our plan. We do have some subcommittees that are working on making sure that we have the production. We're going to have screens on both sides of the field, okay, on the north and the north end and the south end, so that parents are able to see the graduation. Some of them may be sitting on the very far north, away from the stage, but we're going to have screens so that everybody has an opportunity to see when they graduate. On stage, the stage is going to be on the south side facing north, okay? The south side of the field facing north, so that the seniors are going to be facing south. On the stage, we're going to have the minimum amount of personnel on stage to include the board members, the superintendent, the principal, the valedictorian, the salutatorian, okay? The rest, the assistant superintendents are not going to be on the stage because the stage is not big enough for us to have 6 feet apart, socially distanced, so we can only accommodate 14 people on the stage. And everything is going to be precise. We're going to communicate with the students and the parents and the staff, no shaking of hands. When we give the diplomas, the people that give out the diplomas are going to have to wear gloves. And I know that the schools, after the kids get their diplomas, they also get like a little plush husky or a coyote, or so those individuals are also going to have to wear gloves when they give that to the kids. The only time the kids will be allowed to take off their masks is when they take the picture, and we're working on the process as well. Questions or comments about the graduation plan?
Thank you. It's
And
I know it's a lot of planning.
Question, Chief. As far as the contingency plan, if we encounter bad weather or there's a change again, county orders change, state orders change.
Okay. The plan will stay the same. Okay. So give you an example, if on Friday, May 29th, we have bad weather and La Jolla cannot have their graduation on Friday, their next available date is on Monday. Okay. We're not going to move up the graduations. We're just going to move them to the next available date. So if we go through with the graduation on the 29th, and then on Saturday morning we have rain, and one of the early colleges had a rain out, their next available date is on Monday morning at 8:30. And we discussed that. That is the contingency plan. If the county, the city, or the state decides for us, or because there's a spike in COVID-19 cases and they tell us we cannot have them, there's absolutely nothing we can do about that. We're going to follow the directives that health officials give us. But we are planning, we are praying, we're hoping that we're able to execute this plan and make sure that we take care of these graduations. And we're extremely excited for everybody involved. Any other questions or comments?
No, just thank you so much. It looks like there was a lot of planning.
Great
Our
job.
students will appreciate it.
Making a lot of kids happy. They're looking
Yes.
forward to this.
Yes, all of us are excited. At this time, I do want to acknowledge two individuals besides all the employees that worked on this. There's two individuals that helped us with the drafting and the design of the plan. Their names are Mr. Jose Elias Acevedo. He's an engineering and drafting teacher at La Jolla High School. And Mr. Dagoberto Perez Jr., he's a teacher for advertising and design at La Jolla High School. And I want to publicly acknowledge their support and their help in drafting this plan. Other than that, thank you and have a great evening.
Thank you.
next thing for discussion items is discussion of pricing results of resolution 2020-06 concerning maintenance, taxes, bonds, series 2020.
Madam President, members of the board, I'm Miguel de los Santos with Estrada Hinojosa and Company. Thank you for the opportunity to be before you this evening. Also with me is Mr. David Cepeda. Mr. Cepeda is from the law office of Ricardo Perez. Mr. Perez could not be here, but Mr. Cepeda is here. And the board approves the presentation that I'm going to do. We'll be approving in order, and David's the one that has all the legal documents to present. I believe you have a copy of the presentation that was given to you, and I apologize that it could not be given to you with your agenda. And the reason for it was that the notes were just priced this morning, so we didn't have an opportunity to prepare the book or complete the book until early afternoon, so we got it to Mr. Trevino, I guess around 1 o'clock or so. What I'd like to do is go through this rather efficiently. I won't spend a whole lot of time on any of these items. I'm going to hit the high notes, which are the most important things that I believe for the board and for the community. You look at page 2, these are all the people that have been involved in this particular financial transaction. Most importantly, of course, the issuer, the school district. I want to commend Mr. Trevino and Jaime for being very efficient in producing all the information necessary to develop all of the documents that we need to develop. The second page, if you'll notice, there's 2 columns. Column 1 were analysis that we did on what it would cost you to borrow $5,043,000, and we did that analysis in January of 2020. We were before you, we brought the presentation to you in February, and in February the board approved an action that we move forward with the financing. Generally, we would have been before you, 5 or 6 weeks ago, but because the market went out of whack with the situation that we have right now, we had to wait until the market came around in order to get some good rates for you. The second column that says 513.20, those were the rates today. That is what happened in the market today, and this is what the financing for you is. If you look at there's $50,000 more. The board had approved not to exceed $5,500,000. So Joel, after reviewing what the buses were going to cost, asked us to move from $5,043,000 to $5,093,300. So that is what we call the project fund. That is what is actually going to be deposited into your account to pay for your buses. If you look in the middle of the page where it says tax status, TIC, all-in TIC. TIC is what we call the true interest cost. That's an average of the interest. You're borrowing this money for an interest rate of 1.41%. And the all-in TIC, that 2.28%, includes the cost of issuance, the paying of everybody that's involved, all of the people that were in the front page, insurance. We insured the bonds. It cost us $10,000 in order to bring the interest rate down, and underwriters' fees, the people that are investing or lending you the money. If you look at the bottom part, those are the payments that you will have for 5 years. This year you'll have a small payment of $37,982, and that is between now and August the 15th, interest between those times. And then the next year we purposely set a lower payment just to give you a break, and then the rest of it is pretty much $1.2 million. And if you'll notice, they are very similar to what we had, what the rates were in January of 2020. So the rates were pretty good, and the rates were good. The total amount of the loan is $5,442,852. After you finish paying off your loan you will be paying 5,442. 5 years is the marching orders that we received. The next page, we call it, and I apologize if there are any questions at any point, please. The next page is what we call sources and uses. Where's the money coming from and what's it being used for? You'll notice where it says bond proceeds, 4,715,000, that's actually the amount that's going to be booked. That is the amount of money that you're borrowing. But the market is good, so people pay you a premium. In other words, instead of giving you $1, they'll give you $1 and a nickel. And that nickel, so the dollar is for your project fund, for your $5,093,000, and the nickel is what is used for paying off all your expenses. So in the end, you end up with net $5,093,300. Your project fund is complete, everybody's paid off, your interest rates are low, and in effect, you actually owe less than what you were going to owe the $5,093,000 because investors gave you more money. Well, investors just don't give money. In order to, they recoup it by increasing the interest rate, that nickel. For those 5 years, they recoup that money in return. So it's just a matter of structuring the debt, the main thing, so that it's kind of like people that buy a house and you roll in the closing costs. Some of you may have done that. I did it several times. So that you don't have to put any money out of your pocket, kind of like the same concept. I said the market had been crazy the last few months. If you look at page 5, that's what we call the supply page in the market. If you look at the left side, at the very bottom is La Jolla ISD, 5,093,000. And this week of May the 11th, at the very bottom, there have been $456 million worth of bonds sold throughout. And those are all the entities, colleges, school districts, cities that have sold bonds. And out of those 456 million, this district is selling 5,093,000. The market, if you look at the scratching up and down, that's what it's doing. If you look at November, it peaked and then it came down and then went up, and it has not been stable. And right now, it's not on there, but we're probably looking at for the last 10 days at least, it had been staying pretty steady in terms of interest rates to bond investors. That is the extent of the main thing that you would be interested in, making sure that you get the amount of money that you bargained for, and that your payments are at the very lowest interest rates that we could possibly get. The next steps, if you approve the order, Mr. Cepeda has all the legal documents and probably will work with Mr. Trevino. The next step would be, if you approve what the presentation I did by approving the order, that is the next agenda item for approval, that in essence the legal document approving the sale of these bonds. There's still a month before you get the money. During that month, there's still a lot of work that we do, but mostly the attorneys do, preparing all the documents for the Attorney General's office. By the time that you get your money, it's been through a lot of eyes, and final authority for you to borrow is the Attorney General to sign off on your bonds. Page 6, that's what you owe right now. That page talks about all of the debt that you have outstanding there, different bonds that you borrowed through the years. The yellow highlights the very bottom two that says 14,735,000 and 4,050,000. The reason that we highlighted those is because sometime in July or August, I'm going to ask Superintendent to put us on the agenda and come before you and take that. The last column says 8/20/2020 and 5/15/2021, to take those two bonds, the callable amount, the 12 million and the 4,050,000, and refinance it. Because the interest rates, we're hopeful, will be much better than they were when you sold these bonds in 10 and in 11. So as a consequence, we'll probably be coming before you and saying, if you refinance these bonds, you could save $1 million in interest payments, or whatever the amount the market dictates at that time. That's the reason that we highlighted those for you. The bottom chart just shows that you're at level debt right now, and you can see where at some point in the 34, 35, your debt begins to go away, and all of your debt goes away in 2038. In 2038, you will not owe any money unless you borrow money between now, other money between now and then. The last couple of documents, one is a page from the rating agencies, and that particular, the rating agencies, anytime that you sell bonds through the registered process, we have a rating agency rate your bonds. You have an A+ rating with Standard & Poor's, and there's 3 agencies that rate bonds. A+ rating. With the insurance, we brought it up to a AA rating. AAA is the highest. AAA is only gotten by Houston and Dallas and big metropolitan that are worth a lot of money. The rating report, I won't go over it, but it says some really good things about your management, good stability on the board, good fund balance, good budget management. The reason that districts down here aren't able generally to get above an A+ or AA maybe, McAllen maybe has a AA, is because of the economies. They look at the economy, the jobs, how much people make, and how much properties are worth, and so on. And generally in districts like ours, because we're poor districts, they grade us down there. But an A+ rating is nothing to sneeze at. It's a very strong rating. So, if there are any questions, I'd be happy to address them. We thank you very much for the opportunity and hope you all stay safe. And by the way, I was very impressed with your graduation plan. Very, very good. Very thorough.
Thank you.
Thank you. David will be working with Mr. Torres.
Thank you. We'll move on to number 3 under discussion items, update on phase 1 of Guaranteed Energy Savings Performance Contract LED Lighting Project.
Good evening, Madam President, distinguished board members, and Dr. Saenz. This evening, I have the pleasure of having Mr. Jonathan Blackwell present for the Energy Savings Project and the lighting beginning in 2018. And he'll have some numbers for you and some pertinent information to how the project is going. All right, so I'll give you the floor.
Thank you for the introduction. Yes, sir. Madam President, members of the board, Dr. Saenz, it's good to see you guys out here. And also congratulations on having a plan for graduation. My kids are not going to graduate till August 1st. So you guys are doing a great job. So you guys have a packet in front of you showing these savings, and we'll just go through this quickly, but I'm here to answer any questions that you guys may have. But we'll touch on the high points, which savings to date for the project are $1,732,233. The savings for the first full year of completion, so we ended it towards the end of 2018, so we looked at 2019 as a measurable year. We had savings of, the school district, had savings of $1,148,416. That exceeded our guaranteed savings by $77,017, which means we were 8.8% more efficient. Thus, you guys had more savings generated. The annual kilowatt hour savings that we had engineered was $8,421,537. The actual KWH savings were $9,164,087. So the project for the lighting we did on the exterior of the buildings, the interior, and due to the lighting sensors is exceeding all project expectations. And we're happy to present those numbers and facts to you this evening. Any questions?
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, sir.
All right. Thank you. Be safe. Have a good evening.
Thank you.
We'll move on to consent agenda. Can I entertain a motion for all approval for all items on consent agenda? I have a motion, I have a second. Any discussion? All in favor? Those opposed? Motion passes. We'll go on to contracts. Approval of MOU between La Jolla ISD and Signal Vine, a text messaging platforms. Can I entertain a motion?
So moved.
Second.
Would you go over that a little bit, Dr. Simon? Yes, Mr. Cook. This is, an MOU contract to have, a system, a platform for text messaging. It's for the counseling department, and they will use it for 11th and 12th grade, students to provide college, information, whether it's college application deadlines, financial aid, deadlines, but it's expressly for college readiness communication with 11th and 12th graders through text messaging.
Thank you. Any other questions? If not, we have a motion and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Those opposed, motion passes. Approval of a resolution 2020-06 authorizing the issuance of La Jolla ISD maintenance tax note series
Second.
2020, providing for the payment of such maintenance tax notes, specifying the terms and features of said maintenance tax notes, and resolving other matters incident and related to the issuance, sale, payment, and delivery of state maintenance tax notes. Can I entertain a motion?
Second.
I have a motion, I have a second. Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Those opposed? Motion passes. Imagine Learning MOU. Can I entertain a motion?
Second.
I have a motion. I have a second. Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Those opposed? Motion passes. Action of contract renewal of General Counsel Legal Service Flores and Munoz. Can I entertain a motion?
I have a question. Just my question is this the same amount we had approved previously, or is this a different amount when they were originally retained?
This amount is a higher amount than what the previous contract. The previous contract was $12,000 monthly. This contract is for $19,500.
So it's an additional 7,000, about 7,000 a month?
Yes.
Or did what change?
7,500.
Did what change to increase that amount? Any additional work that was added to it?
Mr. Flores?
No, it's the same work the previous general counsel, he said at 19.5, so that's why we had moved to 19.5. The workload has increased from year to year.
So the workload has increased?
From what we had started, yes.
Oh, so you'll be let me know how many attorneys we have. So he'll be lead counsel, or this firm will be lead counsel exclusively?
Yeah, we still have.
We still have Mr. Munoz on board.
I'm sorry?
We still have Mr. Munoz on board.
So, okay. Well,
But
maybe
it
I'm-
wasn't deducted, what's
No,
his-
his is the same 19.5.
Okay. I'd like to move it into executive session so we can discuss it further, just so we can clear some stuff up.
Okay. We'll move that.
Here we have a motion and a second on the floor. So now we're for approval or denial.
I did the motion. I don't know, I didn't hear what you said.
Well, we can still come out and approve it, but we can still discuss it in executive session, no?
You could, if there's a motion to take it into, there's currently already a motion on the table.
If this motion dies, then we can, so I did the motion. I heard somebody second, I don't know.
So we motion by Mr. Salinas and second.
Anyway, I made the amendment.
We have a motion by Mr. Salinas, and we have a second by Mr. Garza. And Ms. Ochoa is asking if we can move it to executive session.
So the reason to move into executive session was to get legal advice on the contract. But is the rest of the board okay with that? Is a motion, the person who made the motion, the person who made the second, okay with that? Or do you not?
Well, I mean,
I don't know what you want.
I made the motion, I'm ready to vote, so.
So if you guys are okay with that, then the president could call for a vote.
And just for clarification, it's not to deny the motion, it's just for further discussion or just explanation about the increase of fees with no increase of responsibilities or workload.
To the understanding, when we approved Jerry Munoz the last time, I think it was last year, the motion was that the two general counsel were gonna get the same payment. They didn't get the same payment, so when we motioned, because I was the one that did the motion for Mr. Munoz, he got the full, whatever it is, that's why
And
it's here.
I can't recall that meeting, so maybe we should revisit those
No,
minutes.
I'm ready to vote, I do remember, so my motion's on the table, unless we're gonna bring it to the vote, so.
And really the question is, Mr. Flores, you have had an increase of workload, correct? That's just a yes or no?
That's correct, yes, ma'am.
Okay,
That was the question.
okay. So we have a motion and we have a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Those opposed? Motion passes. We will go to business and finance. Can I entertain a motion for discussion and possible action to assign architect and seek bids for necessary innovations to Rosendo Benavides Elementary School?
So move.
I'll second, okay. They already.
I have a
It was not
motion.
me, not Mr. Caputo.
I have a second. Any discussion?
How quick is this gonna happen though? Because I know there's a big issue there with,
This one, as soon as we get approval, we will begin, I'm looking at it because there was different options that you could select. On page 139, it says alternative actions. You can approve the recommendations to bid out all scope of work and assign Archiform as the architect to do the work. Or you can decline this proposal, or you can approve a different variation of the scope of work, or approve the scope of work but assign another architect.
no, I mean, that's fine, I was just seeing
So-
how quick we could get to it.
Okay, so to clarify, then we would be approving number one, the way it is presented?
Yes.
Okay.
Dr. Sines, I have a question on that one as well. Are the money used for the renovations, are they in any part coming from the phase two, or this would just come from the general fund? Renovations
This,
for,
yes, in the funds that we have available through the financing that we did for the PSI projects, for example, we have some funds left over from, we were going to do the remodel of the dollar store, which some of that money was used for the Palmview turf, and then some of it was used for the La Jolla High School roof, which we did get back. And so what we're planning is we'll use that money, since we don't have the whole amount to renovate the building, the dollar store building. And this project is something that's in need at the current time. And so we will use that money. There's some other money that we have in that PSI contract. For example, there was $200,000 that we were going to use for mitigation of asbestos if it was found. So far we have not, and we don't anticipate that we are. So we have those additional $200,000. We are going to be short of $100 and some thousand, which we're going to take from current budget that we have in the maintenance department. Yes. If we need to come back, maybe if we are going to need to get some from the general fund, which I don't anticipate will come to you. But so far, the total cost of this, which is $775,000, we're going to get from those places.
perfect, thank you so much.
Yes.
Any other questions? With that, we have a motion and we have a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Those opposed? Motion passes. Approval of application of contractor's payment request number 9 for La Jolla ISD job order contract with Performance Service, Inc., elementary school tracks and school security gates. Can I entertain a motion?
I'll second.
I have a motion, I have a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Those opposed, motion passes. Approval of application of contractor payment request number 9 for La Jolla ISD Phase 2 of PSI Guaranteed Energy Savings Performance Contract Amendment Project. Can I entertain a motion?
Also move.
Second.
I have a motion, I have a second. Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Those opposed? Motion passes. Approval of application of contractor payment request number 11 for La Jolla ISD Phase 2 of PSI Guaranteed Energy Savings Performance Contract Amendment Project. Can I entertain a motion?
Second.
I have a motion, I have a second. Any discussion? If not, all in favor?
Aye.
Those opposed? Motion passes. We have no items under human resources, so it is now 6:57 p.m. and we will move into executive session under Texas Government Code 551, 071, 072, and 074. It is 7:58 and we are out of executive session.
Madam President, I'd like to make a motion under letter H personnel, items 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 10, 11, 12, and 13.
I have a motion, I have a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Those opposed? Motion passes.
Madam President, under letter H, number 9, I would like to so move approval for to deny the consideration.
Second.
I have a motion and I have a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Those opposed? Motion passes. That's it, right? We will adjourn at 7:59.